Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you have arrived to the conversation that'll end all conversations. The Soulcast with your host, Happy Bones. And now, without further ado, let's get in that crazy head. Here's Happy Bones. All right, what's up? It is August 25th, 2014. It's a Monday. And I'm here. I'm going to talk with my dad. This is my dad. Everybody calls him Woody too. We're out in his front yard, and we've got the dogs running around and whatnot, what have you. And there's all kinds of wildlife all around. So, what's your birthday? What year was you born? Can you remember all that?
Yeah, man. October 31st, 51.
1951 on Halloween. And was Halloween a big deal whenever you were growing up?
Yeah, every day. Yeah, especially after I got bigger and could use. We had the bigger bike, birthday parties and all the big bike parties and everything. We had them over there in Aiken where we had Judge and all them play and everything. Yeah, it was always a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, whenever you were a little kid, did you go trick-or-treating?
Yeah, heck yeah.
What would you like to dress up as?
Lord have mercy. I don't remember.
I remember you telling me a story one time whenever you were a kid, your mom would leave a quarter on the TV and you would go and get a RC Cola and a moon pie.
Oh, no, yeah. No, I'd come home from school and there'd be a quarter on top of the TV. I could go downtown to the movies, go to the theater, at the Majesta or the Imperial. That was the only two choices you had anywhere. And I could get in the theater, I could get candy and a drink, and for a quarter.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And what kind of stuff were you watching back then? Like, what would be in the theater?
Batman.
Like black
Batman,
and white and stuff?
Yeah.
It was all black and white.
Let's see, what was it? I remember one of them scared the crap out of me. Can't remember the name of it, but it was black and white, and it had witches and crap, and it was scary as hell.
Whenever you were a kid, does downtown look different than it does now? Like, did it change a lot from now to back then, or is it just about the same looking?
It looks pretty much the same, except it looks a lot better now because of all the restaurants and different stuff. Downtown, when I was little and we walked downtown to the theater, you had a JCPenney's and the 5 and Dime store. That was it. Then 2 theaters, and now you go walking down Broad Street, and man, you could eat about every 30 foot.
So about what year are we talking about where it was like empty like that? Like 1960?
I was like, when it was right after Daddy died, we moved on Beamer Street. I was kind of wild, and so, people back then, we didn't think about getting kidnapped or anything, so I'd walk, me and Joe Delry, and we'd get together and walk down Broad Street and all, yeah, that was, so when I was 9 years old, so that would have been, 60, something like that, 1960.
60, and it was empty. And so I remember at one point, fast forward, and whenever Aunt Audie had that place where 1102 is now, she used to have Audie's restaurant down there in like the 80s, was it? Or yeah, in the 80s. And I remember that time whenever Judge's band, Judge and the Jury, was out there playing, rehearsing in that building in the back, and there was some stuff getting stolen. We were pulling up, there was some stuff getting stolen out of the back of that car. Yeah. And so back then it was pretty empty too. There were a few things, even though Audie's restaurant was down there, like Joe's Underground was down there at that time, and there started to be more businesses down there, but
it was 11th and Road.
It was still
pretty empty back then. So that's the only difference that you see from 1960 to till now. Is that they're occupying the buildings more. Oh, that's good. How old were you whenever your dad died?
I was 8, I think.
And what was his name?
Judge Chrysanthel Wood.
Chrysanthel. And what did he do for a living?
He was a construction, but he did heavy construction. Like he actually helped build the old lock and dam. He was overseer over that line, the old lock and dam.
That was your daddy, what?
And and then he built houses and all. I remember one time when I was a little bitty fella, he went out to Kmart. Kmart was the other big thing, and I can remember this, even though I was a little bitty fella. And he was building houses in Tanglewood. And he went to Kmart and bought me one of them Italian rifles. Had a bullet about 3 inches long. And so I'm at the job with him and Don's behind me holding me. And like I got a diaper on, man. And I shoot that gun. I can remember it to this day. My diaper fell down, and I mean, it was just a laugh fest. It was hilarious. But that was the way Daddy was. That's all I really remember, you know. But he was a character, you know, everybody says.
And said he was a good man.
And your mom, whenever he passed, she never remarried?
No.
And she's funny. She was funny because one time we were riding in the car and I was helping her with getting groceries and stuff. This was like years back. And we were riding by this old man, and she was like, "Oh, there's my boyfriend." And I was like, "Grandma, that's your boyfriend?" And she's like, "I got lots of boyfriends." But she's probably just kidding. I don't know. She might have been the hoot of the doggone old ladies building, though.
No.
They be having dances and
She was
stuff.
pulling your leg for sure.
So you rode around downtown a lot back in the day on bicycles and whatnot. What have you?
Well, listen to this. Murray and Swin had there was 2 bicycle places in Augusta, and they were right down there. One of them was right behind where all these restaurants was.
Right.
And so we got, when I was I was about 9.5 years old. Mama surprised me with this mini bike. The mini bike, man, was outrageous. A little square, had a daggum big old Cushman motor in it, you know, and so.
It was brand new?
Brand new, man. Oh, hell yeah. I was so that was my first motorcycle, yeah. And then later on, Joe Delry got one just like it. His mama got him one just like it. And we rode them so hard that, you know, we didn't ever have any money, so we broke the throttle, so we'd be riding with, you know, throttling it with right hand, riding with left hand. Finally, the handlebar broke off on the left-hand side, so we had to spin them around so we'd have and it was hilarious. And then Mama bought me something that was really special, though. She took me downtown, her and Tony, and we walked into...
And who's Tony?
That's my brother, Tony. He's 73 now.
He's your older brother?
Yeah.
One of your older brothers.
And we walked into this motorcycle shop, and Mama said, "Pick you out a motorcycle." And I was like 11 years old, 11, 12 years old, something like that. So I was the first kid on the block to have a Bull Taco. That's the one.
A Bull Taco?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And who makes Bull Taco? Or who made it?
Bull Taco. That was the name of the builder. They had CZs, Makos. These were all different names that does not exist today. Like the bull tacos, if you have found that one that I originally had, and it was in perfect condition, it'd be worth like $30,000.
Whoa.
Crap. Yeah.
So you would ride around downtown on these?
Oh yeah, in jail twice because of the motorcycle before I was 12 years old.
What'd they put you in jail for?
Riding mini bike downtown on Broad Street. We going down.
With one handlebar?
One handlebar, man. Hey, yeah, like the song says, instead of just one headlight, we have one handlebar.
And what did Grandma say whenever she'd come get you out of jail?
Well, it was always Joe Delry's mom and dad come get us. They wouldn't say nothing. And a funny part about it is they just back up to the jailhouse, put the mini bikes back in the back of the car and go on home. And it was nothing. They'd put us in a jail cell by ourselves, both of us. So it was a scare tactic that did never work, because when I was able to get the dirt bikes, we started tearing up all the schools around town, like Richmond Academy, going around the baseball field, all that field, cutting everything up and all. And so that time, that was the third time, but that was a big time because it was like 4 cops came from all different sides. 2 on motorcycles, 2 on cars, because we always got away from them. And we didn't get away from them that day.
So they didn't recognize you whenever they'd see you, though?
Oh, heck yeah.
So you'd always have to be running from the police?
They knew me and Joe Delry very well. And it was always motorcycles. Nothing like vandalism and crap like that. It was always just...
So what about out towards the river? Y'all ride out that way?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, man. Shoot.
Y'all ever have any like close calls or anything crazy happen?
Yeah. One time we were going down through there, and in a Carmen Gia that Joe's brother had, and we didn't even, neither one of us had, we were like 14 at the time, come around that corner there and slid that Carmen Gia all the way off, and it was like teetering into the other spillway, like the rivers here, and then yeah, that was one of them. And we always rode bikes down there, but nothing ever really happened. We did some crazy stuff too, and never really got hurt bad. Broke leg once, twice.
Yeah, I remember one time we were out. You guys were throwing the frisbee, I guess. I can't remember. I think it was Cousin Tim, and I can't remember. Mom was there or something. Anyway, we're way out in the cow field somewhere, and y'all were playing frisbee, and you broke your foot.
Yep.
And you had to hobble all the way back to the car on one leg, pretty much.
I remember that. I stepped in a hole. Knew it was broke immediately because I had felt the pain before.
So do you recall all the broken bones that you've had riding dirt bikes?
Lord. No, they probably in the teens though.
So just recently you had an accident where you went down on a motorcycle, and how long have you been riding street bikes that you know of? How long have you been riding street bikes?
Well, I started riding street bikes when I was 14.
And back then, how long was it before you actually got like a motorcycle license?
Oh, I got my license when I was 16. But I was riding on the streets way before then,
Like street and trail bikes or street bikes?
No, street and trail bikes. I never did get an actual street bike until I went and bought a Kawasaki. Kawasaki.
It was like a fast...
It was fast.
It was fast? Like 1,000 cc?
No, it was 750.
And
3-cylinder, 2-cycle motor. So you had to mix the gas and the oil together.
Okay. And how long did you have that bike?
I had it for a year or so, or 2-3 years, I don't remember. Quite a while. And then the next one I got was a BSA. And there again, it was kind of a funny thing.
Now, is a BSA a British motorcycle?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, BSA. You were in Triumph Bonneville, and BSA was on the same level. And I got a 650 BSA. And then I got the first Harley. Actually, I rode the first Harley I ever rode. I was like 17 years old, working at the filling station out there on Washington Road. And back then, where that filling station was, I-20 was not even there. And when you got to where Dairy Queen is, there on Washington Road, it turned into a 2-lane road right there, all the way down to the lake and everything. But I rode my first motorcycle, first Harley Davidson right there. It was a 3-wheeler knucklehead the guy had for sale, and I rode it. And then that was it. You know, it was Harley.
What was it about the Harley that made you want to have a Harley?
I tell you what it was, and I cannot remember the name of the movie, but when I was a little kid, one of the things we always did go drive-in. And I remember this movie, and maybe somebody out there can pull it up or something, but on the front of the movie, man, there's a guy, and it shows a kicker like mine, and it ratchets his back up, boom, and it's a panhead, and he rides down the sidewalk with that bike. It was all chopped out and everything. And I can't remember no more of that movie, but I remember him kicking that thing and how it sounded and everything, and that's why I love mine. You know, my '69 with this kicker, you know, but I'll have to find out some way to put a starter on it now. I got a starter on it, but it just don't work.
So riding Harleys in a group, have you always rode in a group, or was that later on whenever you started riding in groups?
No, pretty much first Harley I ever got, I hooked up with the motorcycle club. Still stands.
And is it, did you guys always ride tandem? Did you stagger?
Oh, yeah.
Always ride tandem. And I talked to some guys here recently, and a lot of the clubs still ride tandem, even though technically you're supposed to stagger. But then I've ridden in groups where they all ride stagger, like a biker Sunday or something like that, you know.
Well, the thing about it is, when you ride in tandem or side by side like that, you have to trust the person on the inside, and the vice versa. You know, that's what you got to concentrate, because when you ride side by side on some of these roads, you're riding within less than a 3 foot, maybe, area is your area. Mm-hmm. And then his area is about that,
Right.
And so, I won't do it with a novelist. I have to trust the person. Because if you go into a curve and they swing too far into you or something,
they can push you into some traffic.
That's probably why they made it where I didn't know it was a law that you had to stagger now, and it was all chopped way out and everything, girder front end and a Paco frame and all this stuff. And back then you had to go through this course, and so I went through the course and I stopped at the circle. And he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm going to have to pull a 3-point turn to get around this circle, because this bike don't have no radius." And he said, "Just forget about it." Yeah, didn't say nothing. Said, "I figured that," because it was like 7 foot long.
Well, whenever I did the road test on my motorcycle for the first time, there was a guy in a big old full dresser, a Goldwing, I think it was, and there was a maneuver that I could do that he wasn't able to do on the bike, and she was like the same way. She was like, "Well, I knew you weren't gonna be able to do it." So when did you move from Beeman Street, do you remember, or did y'all just stay at Beeman Street until you were old enough to move out of your mom's house?
Yeah. Beeman Street was the hangout.
And so, when did you finally move out of your mom's house?
When when you was about 6 months old, we moved over on Green Street, little house over there.
I think I remember the green.
Had a park behind it.
Yeah.
Y'all used to.
And there was a tree in the backyard that had like this thing on top of the. It was like instead of the branches going straight up, the branches died right there, and so at the top of the trunk, it was like a little spot where you could sit.
Mm-hmm.
It was crazy. I remember that. So, whenever you got out of mom's house, did I spend a lot of time with grandma after that too?
Oh yeah, she came. Me and your mom was working. I was working at a cabinet shop. She was working at a fabric shop, I think.
I remember Nikki and I ran away one time because I think we wanted to go to the park or something like that.
Yeah. Miss
we were in
Urshrey.
diapers.
No, not Urshrey. I can't think of her name. She said, "Where y'all going?" Because that was our next door neighbor, and the next door neighbor was like he couldn't carry a 6-foot 2x4 straight across, and they were so close together. And she looked out the window and said, "Where y'all going?" And you looked at her and said, "We're running away. We're going to the park."
Running away to the park forever.
Yeah.
So do you remember your granddad?
Oh no.
You never met him before?
No.
So where did your dad come from?
They originated in North Carolina.
So you never met your granddad or your grandma on your dad's side?
No, they were long gone when I was born.
What about your mama's granddaddy and mama?
They were gone too.
And they were from North Carolina too?
I think they were from Columbia, South Carolina, their family and all up in that area. Mama and them.
And what did grandma do?
She was a nurse, or assistant nurse. I'll take that back. Aunt Myrtle was Mama's sister, and she lived in North Carolina. And there were several of them that lived in North Carolina, and they were tobacco farmers. I got two mixed up.
So they had lots of land and stuff like that, and farmed tobacco?
Yep, were tobacco farmers, and back then, when Aunt Myrtle, when the people that were picking come in for lunch, she'd ring a big old bell, and she'd have like a 10-foot table laid out, and have homemade biscuits and gravy and fried chicken and all this for the pickers and all. And I remember that so well. I remember one time I went there and went to her little pond, and I was a little bitty fella. And so I just kept catching these little teeny brim, man. I put them in this bucket. I mean, it must have been 50 of them. And I remember Aunt Myrtle fixing them and frying them, every one of them. I was so happy. I thought that was a big deal.
Did you fish a lot with grandma growing up? Did she like to do that?
Oh yeah.
I remember her using a cane pole. Did she ever use anything other than a cane pole?
She finally got where she could use a spinner, a clothes face type. But no, she loved her cane pole.
Did she ever catch a real big fish that you know of?
Oh yeah, she caught some pretty good sized fish, and it was so funny because she'd let out this yell every time when the fish, got on the line. She'd start woo woo woo. I mean, it was hilarious. She was something.
She got excited about it.
Oh yeah.
I remember one time we were fishing at a place where it was like I don't know, man. It seemed like it was like dirt everywhere, and there was this like a good sized waterfall, but it was like like a small stream waterfall, and it was like it seemed like it was in an area where the water was real blue. I don't even know where it was at, but it was just, it's like one little memory that I was like, I wonder where that place is at, because it was around here somewhere. Like a quarry of some sort. Or
Yeah, that
something.
sounds like the quarry that was, if you was going to the dam, instead of turning on the upper dam side, you'd turn and go down below the dam. You could drive so far, and then you had to walk, and you could dive in that place and everything. It was deep.
Oh yeah, that's the place where people talk about. There's a crane down in there that's still down in there. They got flooded out.
Yep. When it hit water, they just left it there,
And somebody else told me that James Cameron filmed some of The Abyss there. That movie, The Abyss.
yeah. I don't know.
You never heard that?
Uh-uh.
So up here where y'all moved to, up in Lincolnton, it's a man-made reservoir. It's like the second largest man-made reservoir in the southeast, or it might be the largest. I can't remember. But
For short, what it is shoreline miles is the largest. The shoreline
yeah,
is the largest.
there's a mountain up here called Graves Mountain, where you can go and dig for gems and stuff like that. And I was talking to a friend, Mark Gaskins, and he was saying that the reason for it is because of that one particular spot back in the day, the lava or whatever, it came through right there. That one spot was concentrated at a certain time and a certain temperature and all that stuff. There was a whole bunch of different variables that brought it to have so many different types of stones, valuable stones there in that one spot, so concentrated.
Yeah, it actually grew a mountain there, pushing up different, all kind of different stones and all, but yeah, it's...
So, have you been out there?
Nope.
You have any interest in going out there?
Oh yeah, I've been wanting to go out there.
Yeah, I was thinking it'd be cool to go out
It
there
would be.
too. There's a lot of good cool spots around here that nobody knows about. Like whenever we were kids, we used to go almost every weekend. Back then, you could drive all the way down to what they call the park or the landing. You know, you're right there at the river. When you go down past the pump house. And we would go out there every weekend, and everybody would turn their radios on the same channel and turn up their radios in their cars and stuff. People would camp out there and stuff.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Would you remember that? Have you been down there lately?
No.
You remember that island that was right there, and there used to be a rope swing right there? Well, that island's almost completely eroded away now. There's like one tree left.
Oh no, really?
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah. I know Joe and them, when they were canoeing on there a good bit, picked out one of them islands and cleared the center out and built a place and all, and they'd go there. And,
They still have one of those out there. It's probably on a different island now, but they call it Hippie Island, and everybody takes turns, trying to keep it clean and stuff like that.
I always thought that was cool.
Yeah.
You know, Chris died, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And
That was sad.
He was sick with cancer, right?
Yeah, cancer ate him up.
That's some weird stuff. He was only like 35 or something.
Yeah, 35 years old.
So, is there anybody that you started riding motorcycles with that you're still riding motorcycles with now that you started riding motorcycles with?
Chester. Yeah.
I remember way back in the day, we had went to a party whenever people still lived on the river, like actually on shacks and shit, and we would go down where Sandbar Ferry goes over into Beach Island. You go down underneath that bridge, and you keep on going. And there was houses down on the left, and there was a party one night. We all went down there, and Chester was down there, and he taught me to dance ZZ Top. He was like,
Yeah. Yep.
you remember anybody else from those old days, or everybody else pretty much faded away or gone?
No, there's a few left. Well, now that I'm thinking about it, Johnny's gone. You know, and JR's gone. Well, Ricky was a little feller when we did all that. And, you know, and then a lot of them parted ways. There's a couple of them that's living in Florida now, doing the old biker thing.
Just being lazy.
Mm.
Did have you how was the longest ride you ever went on a motorcycle?
Oh, Lord have mercy. That time we went to Dollywood was a pretty daggone good ride.
How many hours was that?
I don't know, but my butt said it was like 1,000,000 miles on that thing. Remember, because the dog had chewed my seat away, and I put a bandana on my
Oh
seat.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Oh, I bet it was terrible.
yeah,
I got to ride on the back of Ramon's bike, I think.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember that trip. It was fun. These days, I was thinking it'd be fun to ride up Sturgis, but man, you got to get ready for a ride like that. You got to build your way up to it. Little rides, and then bigger rides, and then medium rides, and then large rides.
Well, you know what? With your bike, man, if I had a bike that was as comfortable as your bike, say, you know, a dresser or whatever, nah, man, it wouldn't be nothing. We could probably put 300 miles behind us each day, you know, because those bikes are real comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, now that Showhead I got in yonder, you know, if you ride a full tank of gas out, you're doing good, because you got to get off that darn vibrating thing.
Is that a rigid frame?
Uh-uh.
No.
No.
Now, going back to your dad's side of the family, do you know did he have any brothers and sisters?
Oh, yeah.
Did you know any of those?
Uh-uh.
So
Well, yes, I did. CB. Annie Lois and CB.
CB was who?
His brother. Yeah.
His brother?
Yeah, and then he had another one.
So he wasn't
Yeah.
close to his family or something?
Oh, yeah, but he just died. You know, he died when I was real young, so I really didn't, you know,
Get a chance to know.
get the chance.
Because he lived down here and they lived up there.
Yeah. He died when he was 54, I think he was. 54 years old. Died in the hospital. That was before they could take care of real bad heart attacks.
Oh, okay. So he didn't die immediately from the heart attack. He died in the hospital.
Mm-hmm. I remember going to see him, and he looked fine. And then CB come over there, and all I could remember was Mama just falling down, screaming. And I was so, you know, I was young. I really didn't understand the whole concept about losing somebody like that.
So, how long was it after that where was there a point where things started going back to normal, or how old was your oldest brother, or who was the oldest brother?
Don.
Uncle Don, how old was he?
He was, yeah, he would have been 77 or 78 if he was still living.
He's older than you by like 10 years or something like that.
More than that, about 14 years.
You ain't got to whisper, Mom. That's Mama in the background talking.
Well, he don't know that.
So, and Uncle Tony's the second oldest.
Yeah.
And Uncle Tony didn't ride bikes, or he did ride bikes?
Oh, yeah.
So Uncle Don was the one that didn't ride bikes.
Right.
So you and Uncle Tony would ride bikes together,
Oh, yeah.
and Cousin Judge and Cousin Tim
Would be right there on us through all the wrecks and everything, because they were on the back of the bikes with us.
Oh yeah, so y'all were riding bikes with them on the back,
Yeah.
and y'all were wrecking and shit.
Yeah, because we were riding some bad motorcycles as far as that 400cz and 360 Yamaha, which was the baddest Yamaha back then as far as the dirt bikes go. And yeah, they learned. But Tim really didn't catch on to it. He really didn't give a whole heck of a lot about it as much as Judge did. And then I remember Tony bought Tim and Judge a little 60 Yamaha dirt bike. Same thing that I bought you when you were a little bitty fella and broke your leg on it. And yeah, man, it was great. Back then you had all kind of quarries everywhere where you could go and ride. Nowadays, if you got a dirt bike, you have to go on out somewhere.
Yeah, so yeah, you used to do a lot of like hill climbing and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
I remember there was a time whenever we lived in Aiken and Couchton, and I remember riding some hills with a buddy of mine named Derek, and that was the only time I ever like climbed hills or anything like that, and I would ride on his motorcycle to climb the hills.
Yeah.
So Uncle Tony, you, Judge, y'all would climb hills together?
I'll do everything.
And who was the bravest whenever it came to climbing the hills? Like who would go first?
No doubt Judge was. When I practically raised him, and I raised him hard, and so he pretty much had a lot of guts for a little fella, and no glory.
So did he ever wreck real bad on climbing the hill?
Oh, he used to wreck a bit. Yeah, there was one hill over there where it was about 20 foot tall, and it was straight up like that, and then we come off of it. But that was, I didn't make it the first time, fell back down, slid back down, and I made it up the second time. But the funny part about it, and the brave part about the stupid stuff, was there was no way to get down except the same way you went back up. So before you ever saw the ground down below you, your front wheels already dropped off of the edge. So, and then you're all the way back dragging, your butt better be dragging the back tire as far back as you can so it flip. Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah, you was there. You was a little bitter fella.
I remember a few times hanging around, stuff like that here and there.
Well, you can't see it now because of my tattoos, but me and Judge went over there, one weekend, and hadn't been there in like 3 or 4 weekends or so, and I come around this corner and went over this jump, and they had come in there with a front end loader and dug the other side out, man. So when I hit the ground, my arm went up in between the back tire and the motorcycle, and then was just going whang, digging on my arm. And Judge come running over there. I said, "Man, get it off of him, cut this thing off." That was hilarious, because I'm going, when I topped that hill and looked down, I'm going, oh no, because I wasn't prepared to, You know, I was ready to
Right.
hit this, you know, about and go on, and it was a doggone 20-foot drop down there, and I'm just going, oh no, boom! It was really hilarious. If we'd have had that thing where you get $10,000 for a hilarious motorcycle stunts or whatever,
We would have followed you around with video
Oh
cameras.
yeah, man, yeah, no doubt. We could have had a show. It was hilarious.
So, what year was it whenever you and Mom met? Can you remember?
Ooh. No, I can't remember.
What year was that y'all met?
1973. He don't know that.
73. And I was born in 75. I remember at one point we would go every weekend, like I said, to the river. What ended up happening that we had to stop doing that?
It ended up getting real rowdy, and there was gunplay and fighting and all that kind of stupid stuff. Lots of fights. And it went from the when we were down there and did all that stuff, everybody was like mellow, you know. They did the thing and yeah, cook and everything, and everybody was mellow, and everybody like gelled together and all, cause we was down there all the time. And then you know, for some reason or another, some people started going down there that were just plain rednecks, and you know, fights started breaking out, gunfire. Yeah, so we stopped that, but then they shut it down. You couldn't go past the pump house for a long time.
You can't drive down there anymore.
It was just biking, running.
But nowadays, there's a lot of health, you know, nuts that walk and jog and ride bicycles down through there. You know, it's not a bad element down through there anymore.
Yeah.
It's all cleaned up and stuff. I remember back in the day there was like, used to be, you could see back then they had the pull tab. Back in the old day they had the pull tab beers, and you could see there was piles of pull tabs where people had left their pull tabs back then. But I don't think back then they realized what effect it was having on everything. And then also back then we'd have to get into the river with shoes on. I mean, still if I do get into the river, I get into the river with shoes on because of the rocks. But
Michael would get in there and pick him up with him.
yeah, I remember those days. Did Grandma ever come down to the river with us?
No.
Did any of the other people, family, come down, like Uncle
No,
Tony or Uncle Don or any of them?
No.
Diane and her boys came down there with
Yeah.
Rick and
Diane.
Jason and Diane?
Diane and them, yeah.
Jay.
But not Tony or Don, because Tony was born like 2 years after Don, and then 10 years later, I pop up on Halloween, and Daddy told Mama, "Dang it, you got tricked."
Whenever, how old was Grandma whenever she passed?
Oh Lord, she was 92.
How old was she whenever she had her heart surgery?
60s, yeah, 65 or so. Then she had 2 new knees, and I used to pick up on her and all, ask her where grease fittings were for her knees, because she had metal knees.
And she, I remember she used to cook all the time. What was your favorite thing that she would cook?
Fried chicken.
And what was different about her fried chicken from anybody else's fried chicken?
Nobody could make it like Mama. And then her biscuits was amazing, and you could always tell Mama's biscuits from any other biscuit because she'd take these 3 fingers, she'd ball it up like that, set it down, take these 3 fingers like that, and she'd put her 3 finger, that was her mark. Oh man,
signature.
yeah. I'd like to have some right now.
Have you haven't found anybody else be able to make biscuits and fried chicken like she could?
I can make some pretty good biscuits sometimes if I really put my mind to it, because it's an art to that. But as far as fried chicken goes, no.
Now, whenever you were a kid, did she always have cook like meals, or did she work to the point to where y'all didn't have like regular meals?
Actually, when Daddy died, Mama went to work for University Hospital, and she worked till she retired. I think she worked at the University Hospital for like 24 years, or somewhere along in there. Third shift, all those years. And yeah, she always, when she came home, she'd cook me breakfast, and then she'd go to bed, and then she'd get up, and we'd have she'd cook a big old meal, and back then everybody came to the kitchen table and we sat around, and me and Tony always fought over the pulley bone, because Mama, back then you had to cut your own chicken up and everything, and so we'd fight over the pulley bone, and yeah, it was. But see, the thing about back then, Mama was a nurse, Nina was a nurse, Audie was a nurse, so all us men or boys that were sitting around the table, we were at the nurse mercy. I kid you not. I mean, Mama, she worked at what they call a Cleckley ward after Dr. Cleckley, which is the one that wrote the book about Three Faces of Eve, the first woman, the first documented.
Oh yeah, multi-personality.
Yeah. She worked there, and she come home with a black eye where one of them would get out of hand, and she worked at third shift all her life.
Now, I heard Grandma one time say that the first transsexual operation was done in University Hospital. Did you ever hear her say anything about that?
If I did, I tried to block it out of my memory.
I remember one time she said that if you put an aspirin in Coca-Cola, it would get you high. You remember that?
With the doctors who did that trans.
But she said whenever.
Film of it, and my parents and my uncles and all, they closed the drapes and they were showing it, and we peeked through a little thing when I was a little girl. Yet I saw it.
So,
The work for the doctors, Dr. Jones.
but that makes sense though. Our area being a kind of a hub for medical research and all that stuff.
Yeah,
for
the
everybody to be nurses.
Back then, Daddy died in medical college. But yeah, back then it was the medical college, and then there was two hospitals down there, but the medical college was the teaching hospital, and it was the top teaching hospital for forever.
And it's still a good
Probably
one.
still top. I don't
Well, they
know.
call it DRU now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Well, do you remember anything else from the downtown area that's changed dramatically that used to be different about downtown that you can think
Oh
of?
yeah, the Riverwalk and all that. All the time I ever went down there, and me and Joe Delry went all over that river, and we always sat and we said, man, why don't they develop this darn thing, for you to walk on and all this junk and all. And then years later, lo and behold, they did actually do it, which I think that was a good thing. I think they even ought to go ahead and develop the whole river.
I think they should take the dike out past where Aiken Augusta Highway is, cut the dike out completely all the way down to where they do the riverboat races, and then develop that riverfront as like a strip where they'll have another Riverwalk park, and they can have little shops and stuff like that. There's plenty of room to do it there, and you could even develop it where you have small little cubicle apartments right there along the road, right there on Bay Street.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, that's just my idea.
We
but
used to go down there a lot at that dam.
He failed. He's not going to do it now because he didn't get enough people to sign up. He was going to do it.
But it's an eyesore, I think, for me.
Mm-hmm.
Not being able to see the river. Was there ever a time whenever? Now you said at one point whenever I was coming up that there was that you and Joe Derry would get dropped off up here at the lake on Friday, and then mom and dad, your mom and dad, or their mom and dad, his mom and dad, and your mom wouldn't know where you guys were until Sunday night whenever they come pick you up.
Oh no, they'd know. Back then, when you turn on Ridge Road, going towards the campsites down there, it was all non-developed. It was a 2-lane rut dirt road is what it was. And so Miss Delry and Mr. Delry would take me and Joe, and I'm talking about at 10 and 11 years old, drop us off at the campsite down there and go home and then come back. And the thing, I remember it so good, Miss Delry used to make these real thin pancakes, and she'd pile like that much on there. By the time they got to Ridge Road where we were starving to death, and she always pulled these 2 plates of pancakes out. Oh my God, I can see it actually right now. And but back then, see, you didn't worry about anybody kidnapping anybody or nothing like that. And then we got those 2 little mini bikes, and then we were hot shots because we could ride up to Ridge Road store and get us something to eat finally. Ride back.
And y'all just stayed out underneath the trees and the stars?
Yeah, we never had a tent.
And y'all built y'all fire and stuff?
Yeah.
And how old were y'all about that time?
Yeah, well, it was 14.
So were there ever, did anything ever happen out there that y'all get hurt or anything like that, and then y'all just had to wait until your parents come pick you up?
No, the only time that happened, we actually had a trailer and pulled the motorcycles, the bigger motorcycles out there. We were like 16 at the time, and we actually had a tent then. We had come up to big time, and we were riding crazy. We didn't have a bit of sense, so it's like 1 o'clock in the morning, but it was full moon. So we're riding the darn dirt roads and all, you know, and you could see fine, but I didn't see this limb hanging down, and it went into my eye, and it broke off.
Oh.
And so we had to load the tent up and all that, and load the motorcycles up, and drive to University Hospital, and I had it sticking in my eye all the way there. It was
dang.
Yeah.
And they just pulled it out. It was fine.
Yeah, they pulled it out. They deadened my eye and all that junk, but it really never did hurt.
Jeez. All right. Well, we got an hour in. That's pretty interesting. I'm gonna have to come back and get more from you later on, whenever I can think of more questions.
And a rattlesnake was headed to where I had you in a, what do you call that thing? Playpen?
Playpen, there was a water moccasin.
In front of it and kept you from getting hurt.
She got bit. Yeah, that little dog saved your life.
What?
Yeah.
Yes, we took her to the bed down there at Barness, and then she ran away after we paid $200 to get her fixed.
A little
Big,
beagle, little hunting dog.
she said.
Warning, you will never be the same because you have been listening to the Soulcast with your host, Happy Bones. We'll see you next week.